Join me right now on Kumite TV. Back on the show is UFC welterweight contender Vicente Luque. What's going on, man?
What's up, man? All good.
You signed a new UFC contract. Could you give us some details on that?
Yeah, so I got a new deal. That's 4 more fights. And that's, for me, it's recognition of the work I've been doing. I see that the UFC is enjoying it and plans on keeping me on the roster for some more time. And the first fight is going to be this one with Thompson. Is the fight that I asked for after my last one, and I couldn't ask for more. I'm really excited and really pumped.
Was the Mike Perry fight the last fight on your previous contract, or did you have some fights left?
No, I still had some fights left, but they, my manager got to talk to them and got to get a new deal, so that's always good.
Oh, definitely. The money is always good, right?
Yeah.
Of course, man. Well, let's get into your last fight, UFC Uruguay. After watching that fight again, there was a lot of people that felt that Mike Perry won that fight. Very, very tight fight. Do you feel the fight was a close fight against Mike Perry? Do you believe that it was a split decision?
It's a tough decision because at the moment, as soon as the fight was done, I was sure I got all the 3 rounds. That's what went through my mind because when I was in there, he hit me with some shots, but I felt like I blocked most of them. So I didn't feel really in danger. And I knew I was causing, damage on him since the first round. So right after the fight, that was what I thought. And I got the split decision. I was kind of surprised. Then I watched the fight again. And I do think it was much closer than I had anticipated. So once I watched it on tape, especially the first round, he's really aggressive. He really comes forward. So, sometimes even if he hits my block, it's not so easy to see. So I think the fight was closer than I had expected. And I get it, that some people thought he won. And I respect that. Everybody has different opinions. I still believe I won. I think I got rounds 2 and 3. But it was a great fight of the night, and it was a close one. Perry has his props. He's a tough guy. He took all that I brought. Even after that knee, he kept on pushing, kept on trying, to do something. So mad respect for him.
Yeah, going back to that knee, the flying knee, it landed probably the most significant strike in the whole fight. Did you feel his nose break?
No, I knew that the knee landed, but I didn't know where it landed. And the way he reacted, I thought it was nothing because I knew the knee hit hard, but he just shot for a takedown. And I was like, okay, he felt nothing. Let me try to submit him. So at the same time he was taking me down, I jumped for the guillotine. And once I was in the guillotine and I was choking, Gilbert was in my corner and he was saying he's bleeding a lot. And that's when I started thinking, maybe I hurt him with that. So I kept on squeezing. He took it. It wasn't 100% in, but it was like 80% in. So it would submit many guys. And he took it well. And, I tried to get that finish. I didn't get it, but I got the win.
Yeah, definitely. Speaking of Gilbert, he fought earlier that night on 2 weeks' notice, got a big win, beat an undefeated guy that was coming up in the division. He took another fight a little bit later on 2 weeks' notice again. Incredible what he has done in the last couple months. Now he's ranked 15 in the welterweight division. What do you have to say about that? A close friend of yours.
Man, I'm super excited for that, and that's something he always thought about moving up to 170. I train with him a lot, so I always let him know that, man, he has this power to fight at 170. He was always concerned maybe he wasn't tall enough, but there are many guys that are even shorter than him and have success in this division. So eventually, the weight cut was, he had a bad, it was a tough weight cut. He could make it. He was professional about it when he made 155, but it was tough on his body. And, that takes a toll on you, especially after you retire. It's going to have consequences. So he decided to go 170, and clearly it was the best move for him. Now he's really powerful inside the fights. He's able to be explosive. And I think his both fights were great. He beat the undefeated Russian guy and now beat Gunnar Nelson, who is a tough opponent. I think he's showing that he's definitely a contender. And now both of us are going to come, strong in this division.
Does it make it much more fun to have somebody that's so close to you, that trains with you, to climb the ranks together?
It definitely does. I mean, since the Ultimate Fighter back when I was me and Kamaru on the house, and now at this moment I'm in Florida training. I've trained with Kamaru and I train with Gilbert. It's always nice, to have these guys that are there, are in my division. I know the kind of level of competition that they have, and I'm training with them. So we just know that we're making each other tougher and ready to go to the next level. And to see them succeed at the same time I'm succeeding is always, great.
You wanted Stephen Thompson after your last fight. You got Stephen Thompson for this upcoming fight at UFC 244. There hasn't been much time in between fights. How important is it for you to ride that momentum? Because right now you're on a 6-fight winning streak.
Yeah, I think my plan has always been to keep myself active and healthy. I think that, some guys are able to talk their way up, and I'm not that kind of guy. And nothing against the guys that talk their way up, but I'm the guy that is going to put the hard work. So I thought in my mind, I have to fight more than these other guys. I have to keep myself active and keep people watching me, keep people excited. Because I'm not the guy that is going to go disrespect anybody. So at least I'm gonna make it fun, get people interest in my fighting style. So that's why I've been, getting so many fights and making sure that I'm gonna be ready for every single one of them. And it's not gonna be different for Thompson. I knew that it was a short time frame. I wanted December, but when they said it was November and he wanted Madison Square Garden, I already figured that maybe that was going to be a possibility. So I knew that I was going to be ready for that time frame. And, I feel 100% ready to take this fight. Camp has been going super well. And having so many fights in a short period of time, I think gives me more rhythm inside the octagon. Maybe that can be an advantage in the fight.
You go from in your face brawler like Mike Perry to a more technical, rangy striker in Stephen Thompson. Is this an opportunity for you to kind of show a different side of your striking?
Definitely. I think it's more of a technical fight, Thompson has, great karate and kickboxing background. I'm a kickboxer, Muay Thai style myself. So I think it's going to be a really technical fight, a lot of movement, a lot of, trying to set each other up for that big shot. I know that he's going to try to, set me up for his big shots, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm a guy when when the guy wants to brawl against me, I'll brawl against him. But if it's going to be a technical fight, I'll make it technical as well. And I like this different kind of fights, this challenges. I think this is a big challenge for myself, and it just makes me more excited to train and to be really, really ready for this.
Has it been more fun game planning for Stephen Thompson? Like you said, it's going to be more technical. You and Henry Hoof have probably been working together, and he has a massive background in kickboxing. Has it been more fun getting ready for this guy?
I think every single fight is funner than the last, and a guy like Thompson that has fought 2 times for the title and has fought, the toughest guys in the division, it is more fun, obviously. I've watched him much before I even thought about being in the top 15. I used to watch him just because I enjoyed his style. I wanted to see what he was going to do. So now to be able to fight him, it's super exciting. And I've watched a lot of tape on him, not only before, but now for this fight, I've been watching a lot of tape on him. And it's just fun, and I learned a lot from him as well. So it's going to be a cool fight.
Do you feel Thompson is more dangerous than Perry?
I think different. I think Perry was dangerous in the sense that if I did not take care every single moment, he could catch me with a big shot because he has a lot of power in his hands. Thompson is the kind of guy that is really tricky. So I got to be very, very technical. It's that technical fight, every single time, making sure my footwork is good, making sure my guard is good, feinting and all of this. So it's going to be, it's a different kind of dangerous, but I think both of them are really dangerous. And Thompson he's a killer. I mean, he's showed it in the octagon, knocking a lot of guys out. And it is what it is. I mean, we're both knockout artists, and we're gonna try to knock each other out in there.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. Like you mentioned earlier, you are back in Florida getting ready. How much time did you spend in Brazil at Cerrado MMA before you headed out to Hard Knocks?
Yeah, so I believe I had about 8 or 10 weeks for this camp. I had my previous 6 to 4 weeks in Brazil, and then the last 4 weeks, I've been 2 weeks here in Florida. So 2 weeks plus the other 2 weeks, going to be 4 weeks total in Florida for this camp. And I just feel like, this back and forth is always better for me. I'm never in my comfort zone. So I'm back in Brazil training with the guys. Once I get used to those guys, I come here to Florida, and then I get a whole different, range of guys with different movements, with different body types. So I always like to change it up and just get new, energy and new mentality. And my coaches are always talking to each other. Daniel in Brazil talks to Henry, and then Henry talks to him, and they always know what I need to do. Maybe I got to work on my wrestling or work on my striking or, focus on something else. So I really trust whenever I'm here or in Brazil, I trust that my camp is going to be, always perfect.
At Hard Knocks, is there any particular training partner that they have there, a fighter that they have there that you've been working with to kind of get ready for Thompson?
Yeah, I've been working a lot with, I work a lot with Jason Jackson. He's a long guy that I like to work with a lot. Whenever we're wrestling, I work with Kamaru and Logan. And a guy that has been helping me a lot, especially with the kicks and with the movement, is Adam Borix. He fights in Bellator, and he's a really good fighter. And he's been, we call him, we were joking around, he's the Hungarian Wonderboy because he's doing the game. So, everybody here is helping me out a lot.
Yeah, he's pretty dynamic striker. He's been killing it over there at Bellator.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Now, in the main event of 244, the BMF title is up for grabs. You got Jorge Masvidal versus Nate Diaz. What is your breakdown of that fight?
That's a great fight, man. And it's two guys that I've always enjoyed watching a lot, and two guys that I would love to fight at the same time. I believe at this moment, how things have been going, I think the momentum is for Masvidal. He has had more fights and great results on his last fights. I think Nate is always a dangerous guy. And if you get into that, brawl and long distance fight, I think he's going to take an advantage. So I think the key is going to be for Masvidal to get in there, get in his face, and try to knock him out in the first 2, maybe 3 rounds. But once it gets to that 3rd, 4th, and 5th, I see it coming more for Nate. Nate likes his long fights, and he knows how to fight through adversity. It's always a tough fight. I would say Masvidal has a little bit of an edge, but at the same time, you never know. Nate's a dangerous guy.
Do you think Masvidal knocks him out in the early rounds? Is that more of a chance for a finish?
Yeah, because of the last fight, because of Nate against Pettis fight, I think in the first round, he was still a bit off. He didn't have that timing. So if he does repeat that on the fight with Masvidal, maybe Masvidal has a chance in the first round or first and second round to get a good shot in. And Masvidal is a quick starter. You saw that with Ben Askren. He's not the kind of guy that is going to hold back. If he sees an opportunity, he'll go for it. It doesn't matter if it's 1 minute into the fight. So I think that's going to be key in the fight. If he finds an opening early and Nate still, in that slow pace, he might catch him.
Would you ever consider fighting the winner and challenging for that title, the BMF title? Because I think you're one of the guys, right? You don't have to talk shit to be a BMF, right?
Definitely. I think that title is much more about what you do in the cage because, both Nate and Masvidal, they are guys that, definitely speak up and speak their mind. But inside the cage, they are bad motherfuckers, as the title says. And I believe I'm a bad motherfucker inside the cage. Outside, I'm a nice guy, but in there, I'm there for business. So I would definitely fight the winner of that fight. I would enjoy that. But right now, focusing on Thompson, get that win, and after that, I'll see what comes for me.
Now, in early December, your teammate, who is the champion UFC 245 is going to face Colby Covington. They're finally going to fight. How do you see that fight playing out?
Man, that's a fight I've been waiting to watch, and it's the kind of fight I see both of the guys really similar. Colby has a similar style to Kamaru when you look at it just in a raw way of looking. I mean, both are wrestlers. Both have like some kind of striking, and both have good cardio. But if you go to every single area, I believe Kamaru is the better wrestler. I believe Kamaru has the better endurance, especially strength-wise. He can keep his strength through all the 5 rounds. And in striking, Kamaru is definitely the more technical striker, and he has a lot of power on his shots. So I think, I don't see a way for Colby to take a win over Kamaru. I just think Kamaru is the better, more rounded fighter, and is going to put on the pressure on Colby. And I think it's going to be maybe a 3 to 5 rounder. It might be a points fight, but I believe Kamaru is going to get that win, be it on points or by way of finish.
You guys are on a collision course, it seems like. You and Kamaru. Have you guys talked about that while you guys been training, or just been around each other about fighting each other in the future? Because it could happen, right? It could be a possibility.
Yeah, we have talked about it, and we both have kind of the same mentality because we train together. We want to help each other to get all the way to the top. But once we are at the top, I mean, there's no way to avoid that. If we're fighting for the title, man, both of us are going to be making a lot of money, and we're going to be having, we're going to fight for the best position in the world, that is being a champion. So in that case, we would fight each other, and we're professional about it. It's not going to, I mean, in my side, it would never diminish the friendship I have with him. It's going to be an honor to fight him. And if it happens, I wish it happens because I want him to keep the title till I get there. He's my friend. I want him to defend his title as much as he can. And when I get there, and we'll fight and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, it's an incredible story because you mentioned earlier in the interview that you and him were in the Ultimate Fighter house together in the beginning, and then you guys meet in the end for the title, which is insane to me, like how that could work out together from the same team, right?
Yeah, definitely. That would be a crazy story.
All right, one last thing before I let you go. There's many different types of competitors in mixed martial arts. At this point in your career, do you consider yourself more of a martial artist or a prize fighter?
I consider myself a martial artist, especially not only now, but since the beginning. The reason I started fighting in Brazil, like fighting MMA, is not something that you can make a living off until you get to the UFC. So really, you get no money to fight there. They barely pay fighters to fight. So we fight for love. We fight for, really enjoying martial arts and wanting to be an MMA fighter. So that's what I started, and that's what I'm still to this day. And I just want to be the best fighter I can be. And naturally, I mean, I believe the best fighters and the champions will make money with that, and they will get the prize. So that comes together. So my mind is not focused on the prize, but on my legacy and on being the best fighter I can be.
All right, man. Well, November 2nd, you continue your legacy. UFC 244, Madison Square Garden, New York, New York. Thank you, Vicente, for the time, and good luck on the fight and, the rest of the year.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.